Here we are at the end of the Fruits of the Spirit lesson. We've learned about love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and today we're going to learn about self-control. Do you remember a few weeks ago I told you when we were learning about patience that I thought that was one of the harder fruits to have? Well, the fruit of self-control is kind of like that, and I think maybe it's a little harder to develop than some of the others. But what is self-control? Self-control is saying no to things that are not good for me and saying yes to the things that are good for me. It means listening and acting how God wants me to, rather than reacting or doing what I want. It's kind of like eating your vegetables instead of eating a cookie. It's kind of hard, isn't it? Well, in our story today, we're going to hear about somebody who didn't have very much self-control. And I think you might recognize this story. Listen, would you? Now, the snake was the most intelligent of all of the wild animals God had made. And one day, he said to the woman Eve, "Did God really say you shouldn't eat from any of the trees in the garden?" Eve said to the snake, "Oh no, we may eat of the fruit of the garden trees, but not the fruit of the tree in the middle of the garden. God said don't eat it or even touch it, or you'll die." The snake said, "You won't die. God knows that on the day that you eat from it, you will see clearly and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Well, the woman saw that the tree was beautiful, with delicious food on it, and that the tree would provide wisdom. So she took some of the fruit and she ate it. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it too. Then they both saw clearly and knew that they were naked. So they sewed up fig leaves together and made garments for themselves. During the day's cool evening breeze, they heard the sound of God walking in the garden. So the man and the woman, they hid themselves from God in the middle of the garden trees. God called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And the man replied, "I heard your sound, and I was afraid because I am naked, and I hid myself." God said, "Who told you you were naked? Did you eat from the tree which I commanded you not to eat?" You see, Eve saw what she wanted, and she didn't obey God. When she didn't have self-control, she got herself into lots of trouble. You see, God had told Adam and Eve the right thing to do, but they didn't want to listen. They wanted to do what they wanted. You know, the same thing can be true for us. God tells us what is right and what is good, and we need to listen to what God tells us. You know, God has given us all people to help show us how we should act and how we should live. He's given us parents and grandparents and teachers, and sometimes they give us rules and guidelines that we may not like. But those rules and those guidelines are there to keep us safe and healthy, and they're what's best for us, even when we don't like it. Kind of like eating your vegetables instead of eating the cookie. So this week, when you're tempted to do what you want to do instead of what you know you should or what you've been told, I want you to try using some self-control. I want you to stop, take a deep breath, think about what the right thing to do is, and then do that. Use self-control this week so that you can have all the fruits of the Spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self control.